Hey, it's Chuck. Today, let's get it.
And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback.
The truth is, Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those.
You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
Start. That means we've got.
Welcome in. The last show from Hilton Head is I'm coming home tomorrow, and you will no longer have to deal with this ridiculous screen here, green screen without the green behind me, so it's a little wonky. But I think I did good with the backdrop. You know, I've been accused before of my backdrop at home being an actual green screen backdrop, and you can see that today it really is. Anyhow, that bagpiper did a really good job, but he didn't realize he was supposed to say OH and then wait for us. But nonetheless, it was a whole lot of fun. And thanks for joining me. We've got some national college stuff to kind of whip around and go over. But first, we're going to talk a little recruiting, as we've clearly got some changes going on. And today we got some more news. So we're going to go over some O-line, D-line, running back, and wide receiver. It's that time of the year when the coaches are traveling. Visits, both official and unofficial, are coming in Columbus. Last week we had high-profile visits, and this week we had some more. The Buckeyes currently have 13 commits in the class, and we're expecting a class of about 26-ish. And that's fantastic because the last few years we've been at about 20 to 22, when our main opponents in recruiting have been at about 25 to 28. Transfer portal atrophy now requires that you take more in the class or more in the portal, and the Buckeyes don't want to take more in the portal, so they're going to have to start beefing up the classes. And there are two players this weekend who joined the Buckeyes, and Sean Lodge, and they also picked up a punter. Sean Lodge, the wide receiver. The punter, I think he was from Buffalo, maybe. Both are preferred walk-ons, and neither will count towards the scholarship number. They're currently at 80, unofficially, 80 of 85 scholarships right now. The guys who were in the portal that they were after, that were safeties, the two safeties, one from Sacramento State, that was Cam Broussard. He was scheduled for a visit over the weekend, and he canceled his visit, so that's not looking too promising. Neither is Jaden Mangum. That's the one from Michigan State, as he's thought to be a pretty big Michigan lean. Obviously, he can go up there and play, and playing time at Ohio State is going to be rough for him. So, you know, you can't blame him, but the Buckeyes are in this position where everybody is so fantastic in that secondary that they're trying to add depth, and it's going to be tough to get anybody that could make the team or be worthy of a scholarship come in the portal. And, you know, that's a blessing and a curse, I suppose. Let's just hope everybody stays healthy in the season that is – you'll never hear me talk about how long the season is, okay? If you went to a national championship before, you were playing 15 games. This Buckeye team is going to play 16 when they win the Big Ten, one extra game. That's it. But the Buckeyes had some visitors. So 4 big-time visitors this week. Running back Isaiah West, Kentucky commit. He is a newly offered player from Coach Locke. Offensive lineman Jacson Lloyd from Carmel, California. Linebacker from IMG, Nathaniel Owosu-Boeing. And Andrew Stargell from Georgia. Let's start with the offensive line, where we're seeing big momentum all of a sudden, just totally out of the blue. And of note, when I talk about these rankings as I'm going forward and forever, I always use the 247 composite ranking unless I note otherwise. And I usually only ever do that if I'm doing maybe like a player who's 2 years out or a year out that doesn't have a 247 composite, or if I want to show a big indiscrepancy in rating. So the Buckeyes in the offensive line class currently have Carter Lowe, been committed forever now. And the thought has been that they wanted about 3 to 4 total, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up this year with 5 total. There is a great offensive line class in Ohio in 2026. So they don't need to go crazy this year. But because of the potential candidates that they've kind of got on the hook right now and the way the momentum is moving with a few of these guys, plus there's a couple of local guys, and we'll talk about them. I just got a feeling they may want to take 5. But, generally it's tough to make up ground late. But what's happened here is 2 of these guys we're going to talk about were just offered, like just recently. And it seems the Bucks are moving really, really fast on them, and things are going real well. We all know what's going on with David Sanders, the best lineman in the country. He is thought to have Ohio State and Tennessee at the top of his list. We're not going to talk about him today. This is more about the supporting cast. And we're going to start with Andrew Stargell. That's the 3-star out of Georgia. He is, ranked. He was unranked when the Buckeyes got on him. So here's what it looked like when they offered him. And what we're looking at there is a stellar job of evaluating from the Buckeyes to find him before they did. And they also found him before any of the other heavy hitters did. The Buckeyes are his biggest offer by far still, though I expect that'll change soon now that everybody sees the Buckeyes are after him big. And he absolutely loved Ohio State. He came and visited immediately, and he has already scheduled an official visit on June 7th. That dude is legit, and he's probably going to be a center. He and Fry have discussed him playing center when he comes. That would be great. Kentucky is his second kind of biggest offer, and after that, there's a pretty big drop-off. So, like I said, Ohio State, the first really big school that's offered him, that's got to feel pretty validating. If you know you're good and you're good enough to play at that kind of level, and you're underrated, and your offers don't really suit the kind of player you think you are, and then along comes a school like Ohio State. I think he loves Ohio State, and I'm telling you, I really believe this guy's going to be a Buckeye, and that's awesome. We've watched him here on the show twice because he's so exciting, and you'll just remember he's the guy that finished every single block and made sure that they didn't get up. So the dude's nasty. I absolutely love him. Really hope he's in the class, and I think he will be. But Jacson Lloyd is an absolute top-rated guy. Totally different story with Jacson Lloyd. So we're talking a big-time recruit with Jacson Lloyd. 6'7", 290, solid 4-star, top 200 prospect. And he was in town. They offered him last week. He came in already in town. He had 7 officials scheduled. He's out of Carmel, California. And just like that, immediately comes to Ohio State. And now the word is from On3 that Ohio State is now in his top 3 already. And he has a June official scheduled. Alabama and USC round out his top 3. Another guy the Bucks are in big on is 4-star Henry Finucco. And Henry Finucco is out of Fort Worth, Texas. This is a guy they have picked up some steam on recently. And another guy that his composite might not quite match the player he is. I mean, everybody's after this guy. This is a prize recruit. He's got 5-star energy going on. And you could see why. I mean, that's a dude that looks like he's about his business. But really awesome player. And the Bucks are gaining some serious momentum with him. And they're in great standing with Javon McFadden. Javon McFadden is a 3-star out of Maryland, an impressive offer list. And Ohio State is definitely one of his favorites. There is also still regular dialogue between the Buckeyes and Douglas Utu. He is the really high-rated guard out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. It seemed like there was a little bit more steam a while back with him. I feel like that might have been fizzling out a little bit, but we'll see where that goes. At any rate, I think these are the top guys on the board right now for them and the guys they got the most traction with. And hey, this would really be an awfully nice-looking class if they could bag 2 of these guys and pair them with David Sanders and Carter Lowe, or maybe even 3. That would be fantastic. A really fast turnaround here when we look at just 2 weeks ago, the state of the momentum as far as the offensive line with this class was horrendous. And then out go a few offers, and boom, lickety split. Things are looking like they're turning around. Now we'll see how it goes. And I gave a lot of crap to Justin Fry, I still don't like the strategy of waiting this late to get in on guys because it usually doesn't work so well, but it's working now. So credit where it's due, man. Whatever. Looking great. A couple of local guys, Nolan Davenport from Massillon and Jake Cook from Westerville North, both really good looking players. They're definitely on the Buckeyes radar. Neither of them have offers yet. They'll both be camping, and I think they both really want the offers. I know Jake Cook does for sure. I talked to him. At linebacker. So James Laurinaitis has TJ Alford and Eli Lee in the class already. And it looks like if he can get the right guy, he's going to try to bring in one more. The current linebacker room is pretty loaded with Cody Simon being in his last year and everybody else coming back unless Sonny Styles or CJ Hicks really have a breakout year and choose to leave. You're looking at Cody, Sonny, and CJ, along with Gabe Powers, Arvell Reese, Peyton Pierce, and Garrett Stover. Adding in TJ Alford and Eli Lee to that is a whole lot of talent. And if you are going to be looking for somebody else, the one guy that I think would be a great addition and who he's really after hard is the guy we're going to call Noke because we call his older brother Joke. So why not? Nathaniel Owosu Boateng from IMG. He played at DeMatha in Maryland before that, was a teammate of Jason Moore, and actually came to visit with Jason Moore when he was a little younger. So we're talking about a guy who's played with a powerhouse team in Maryland, very good competition, and then goes down to IMG. This is a college-ready dude. I mean, this guy's been on the big stage playing big-time ball with an older brother playing big-time ball for a long time now. He previously had set officials with South Carolina, Stanford, and Georgia, and that's all changed because now his officials that he just released these are USC, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Michigan. So, like I said, Joke plays for the Browns. That's his older brother. He went to Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman is going to be coming hard, and Marcus Freeman's been doing really well. But Notre Dame and Michigan, they can't really keep up if Ohio State wants to get in heavy with the money aspect here. James Laurinaitis playing for him as your linebacker coach, also a big plus the Buckeyes have. USC, they're really paying big bucks to try to beef up their defense. So this could end up being a battle for money or a Midwest, an old-fashioned Midwest battle between Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame. I'm not sure yet, but I feel like this is going to come down to Ohio State and Notre Dame. That's just my speculation, but it just seems like Notre Dame with his brother and Marcus Freeman, they're going to be coming really hard, and Ohio State is definitely coming hard. I like this one. I like this one a lot. I feel like it's moving in the right direction. Laurinaitis also offered just, I believe, the fourth guy in the class of 2027, and that is Max Brown, 5'11", 175. I got some film I want you to watch on this dude. He's just a little kid. This is of him, his freshman year playing varsity. I think this kid's going to be a 5-star, right? Like, if he's got to get bigger, obviously, but he's only 5'11", 175. Watch this kid. Watch him fly around. It's amazing. So absolutely going to be a star. But let's move on to the wide receivers. So I'm going to start with some more potential bad news as Chad Simmons from On3, the same Chad Simmons who brought us that, Jamie French video last week, is now saying that Vernell Brown, he believes was going to be at Ohio State, and now he believes is going to be staying closer to home as Florida State is doing a great job, and Miami is in it too. And a month ago, he would have bet it was Buckeyes all the way. So Vernell Brown and Jamie French have been saying they want to play together. I doubt that ends up happening, but it certainly looks like the Buckeyes are, on the rocks with both of them at the moment. Not sure what happened with Vernell Brown. It looked like he was, he even seemed, man, he was so vocal. They both came on. He was on with Berm, and he just really felt like a big time Ohio State lean. It's just kind of mind blowing and a great player. But if you're a great player and you're a great wide receiver, and you don't want to play for Brian Hartline, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So let's talk about who the Buckeyes are in on. Phillip Bell, great wide receiver out of California. Looks to me like USC has been really up in the tops for him. But there's a couple guys that the Buckeyes are in really tight with now. And the first one is Talon Taylor. I believe his first name is pronounced Talon. Let's look at the big board here. So if you look at the first page here of the wide receivers, DeCorian Moore, obviously number one. The Buckeyes aren't totally out for him. They're still pressing. You got Jamie at 3. Khalif Lockett is pretty much out of the picture now as he has scheduled his 5 official visits. The Buckeyes are not in there. Dallas Wilson is a duck. Andrew Marsh, number 6, he's actually been talking to Michigan quite a bit. Second page here. Now, that guy in number 7 position there, Quincy Porter. Quincy Porter is down to about 2 schools, and Ohio State's one of them. He is thought to be a big-time Buckeye lover, and we're going to watch him in a second. He's out of New Jersey. And then number 12, Dalen McCutcheon. Hartline is big after him, too. He's out of Lovejoy in Texas. Same school as Peyton Pierce. And if we go down to page 3, number 13 there is Talon Taylor. We're going to watch him as well. Excellent player, serious speed, and a stud. He's out of Illinois. So let's start with Quincy Porter. This is Quincy Porter from Bergen Catholic in New Jersey. Those ball skills and that size, that is a big dude, and he even plays bigger than he is. He would, he's a different style than these other two receivers. And I love Hartline's looking for probably 3 or 4. But to be able to add him along with a couple of these other smaller, quicker guys, let's just go ahead and keep it moving. Here's Taylor Taylor. Now we're in the top 3 for Taylor Taylor, Georgia, Notre Dame, and Ohio State for him. And, I like our odds against those guys. But Dalen McCutcheon is the last wide receiver we're going to look at. This is the one from Lovejoy in Texas, Peyton Pierce's high school. This dude is special. We're talking 20 touchdowns, 1,400 yards, 90 receptions. Absolutely special. Have a look at him. Dalen McCutcheon is man. Out of those three guys, I'd be tough to not say I would like him the best. But I love all three, and I certainly love that size on the big fella there, Quincy Porter. That's a big dude, man. It's been a while since we've had other than JJ, one of these just big, really strong dudes, and I would really like to add another one of them. They're just so tough to guard in the college game. There are so few DBs outside of Ohio State that have DBs that are 6'1" and 6'2". So I would really, really love that. And here's a closer look at Quincy Porter. Top 50 player nationally. That is a 0.97. I mean, that's almost a 5-star there. That is a really, really good looking wide receiver. And here's Dalen McCutcheon, top 100 overall. Really, really like him. So those are the guys Heartline's after, trying to pivot here from this situation with potentially Jamie French and Vernell Brown, which, a colossal waste of time. It's got to be so obnoxious as a recruiter, just to waste all that time. All right, let's go to defensive line. Larry Johnson just made an offer for another tackle interior guy. He's doing well in this class with guys on the edge. So far, nobody on the inside. But this guy here could solve the problems here. Andrew Maddox, 6'3", 265 out of Mississippi. You see there, he's 138 overall, 17th rated defensive lineman. I've not seen a guy get off the ball this quick in a long time. Let's have a look at Andrew Maddox. So, like I said, I mean, if he had the size that you would want, if he had Malik Autry's size with that kind of get off, he'd be a top 5 player in the class. So, a little bit undersized from what you would want in there, but that is some serious quicks in the middle there. And him or Malik Autry, either one of them would be a fantastic addition to the class. You'd love to have them both, but you don't need too many, because a lot of the guys on the interior that are currently on the roster are a little younger. So the edge, you got Zahir Mathis and you got London Merritt currently committed. And you're also looking at guys like Damian Shanklin, Ziggy Grady from Alabama, Marion Dye, also from Indiana, with Damian Shanklin. And I think they're going to try to get any of 3 of those guys. 2 of those in any combination would be fantastic, because they're also going really hard after Justin Hill to play the jack position. So you're chock full of pass rushers in this class. If you can pull off Justin Hill and add 2 of those guys, Shanklin, Dye, or Ziggy Grady, to Zahir Mathis and London Merritt, absolute monster defensive line class on deck here. But it appears that Shanklin and Marion Dye are looking at the SEC somewhere, or Ohio State. They don't want to play anywhere else up north, because, we're all there is up here. Everybody knows it. Now, there is another offer here that went out. So Larry Johnson offered the best edge rusher in the class of 26. And I want to tell you what this kid had to say, because it's really weird. So his name is Zion Ellie. And he said, it was exciting in the end, but before today, me and Ohio State had an on and off. It was exciting in the end, but before today, me and Ohio State had an on and off again It was exciting in the end, but before today, Ohio State and I had an on and off. It was exciting in the end, but before today, me and Ohio State had an on and off relationship, he told Letterman Row. I wasn't really rocking with them, but after today, I regained interest. The conversation was inspiring, Ellie said. I didn't feel too well in the past about our connection, but after this conversation, he enlightened me on the process. I feel like we're really on the same page for the first time. I want to know so bad, like, what was it that this guy wasn't rocking with Larry Johnson? What was it that was on and off again? I don't understand. I would love to hear a little more about that story, because I just can't imagine not rocking with Larry Johnson if you're a defensive lineman. And I can't imagine a 16-year-old kid talking like that about Larry Johnson. But anyway, that is the number 37 overall and number 1 edge rusher. Let's have a look at him. Good tackle. So this guy has said in the past that Alabama is his favorite school. So we'll see if that meant Nick Saban's Alabama or if he really meant Alabama. All right, on to running back. So a lot of discussion about the potential of 3 running backs in this class, and they got one who is open to it now. But De'Aaron Hill will not be one, as it was correctly predicted by Max Torres that he was going to commit to Oregon, as he is off the books. And Oregon got themselves a good one and a top 100 back, excellent athlete in De'Aaron Hill. Very underrated Kentucky commit that we watched last week, Isaiah West. That's the one with thighs like Saquon and Chubb. Composite 3-star, 500 player, and he is absolutely way better than that. But he goes to St. Joe's in Philadelphia. That's McCord and Marv School. He came with his parents over the weekend, stayed at Ohio State, absolutely loved it, had a whole lot of good stuff to say. And he said about the running back room, they want either 2 or 3, and the running back room is wide open. So I would love if they could get a 3-guy class. It sounds like Isaiah West is open to it. I mean, it would be amazing. But you also got to have Jordan and Bo on board as well. I don't know that they would be on board with a guy who is quite as good as Isaiah West or does the same thing. Isaiah West is another prototype back. So is Jordan. So is Bo. So is everybody in the room. They're all prototype. That's what I thought in this role, getting someone like a Kentrell Reinhardt, who is more project-y, built a little different with a little different skill set, maybe might be a better option to go. He's from Columbus. I just listened to him talk last week. He's kind of taken visits to smaller Big Ten schools, schools like Syracuse, but I think he'd be the perfect fit for that third guy in a running back class. I also thought that about Shakai Mills-Knight, and it doesn't seem like that's going to happen now, as Shakai Mills-Knight was kind of in on the Bucks, but he is getting prioritized at other schools where he's not really by Ohio State. So, I imagine he's going to be probably at Auburn or somewhere in the SEC. But he's a guy who's much bigger at 6'2", 235 when he's playing in college. I believe that's what he'll be at. A little bit slower, loves contact, but a different style of back. And if you're going to get three in the class, I think you can probably keep everybody happy by having somebody who's just a totally different kind of back, which Shakai Mills-Knight would have been perfect for. But if it's Isaiah West, I just, granted, yes, there's room in that running back room for everybody, no doubt. But when you're all young, like that would be Peoples, Sam Williams-Dixon, Bo Jacson, Jordan Davison, and Isaiah West, all first or second year guys. So it's only 5 guys, but they're not staggered in years. And if it was my kid, I wouldn't want him in a 3-man class. I mean, 2-man class, sure, but not a 3-man class with a 2-man class right above it. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough sell. And that's why I think a guy like Kentrell Reinhardt might be the perfect kind of guy to go for. Anyhow, 2026 quarterbacks, Chip's on it right now, so we might as well go over it. Brady Smigel, he went and saw in California. Smigel's dad is a coach. Let me pull up the quarterbacks here. So Smigel's dad's a coach. He saw Ryder Lyons when he was in Folsom, California. And Ryder Lyons is a playmaking son of a gun, really fun to watch. Then number 5 there, Brady Smigel, he went and saw him. We know that Dia Bell has been offered, and Chip has not been down to see him yet, but Dia has been up and seen the guys in Columbus. They went and saw Faison Brandon a couple weeks ago. He's the one out of North Carolina that moves like Vince Young. And I read that Chip was going to go see number 7 there, Jaden O'Neal, when he was out on this California swing. But I don't know if that visit happened. I did watch him. Excellent playmaker, just like number 2 up there, Ryder Lyons. These guys extend the play with their feet and then deliver some really crazy off-platform stuff. They're awesome. I think Faison Brandon of all these guys has the highest upside. This dude, he even runs like Vince Young. He's only, I think, 14. It's insane. Brady Smigel, number 5 there. That's the gunslinger. Absolute. This dude threw for 50 touchdowns last year. And then you got Ryder Lyons. He's a great playmaker. Dia Bell, kind of a mix of the playmaker and the gunslinger type. These quarterbacks are all so good. You can't miss, really. So it's just going to be a matter of preference. Whichever one they go with, we're going to like whoever it is because they're all really good. And we'll watch one right now. Let's watch Ryder Lyons. I was reading Athlon Sports the other day, and there's a big article about Ohio State having the easiest schedule in all of college football in 2024. And the eyes of college football fans collectively are upon our schedule right now. And I'm just kind of blown away by it because it feels to me like for 25 years, Ohio State was the only school that was consistently playing out of conference early season big time games. Everybody else might pop up and do it now and again, but Ohio State did it every year. Oregon series, Notre Dame series, Texas series, Washington series, USC series, Miami series, Virginia Tech series. Forever, Ohio State went out of their way to schedule a big time out of conference every single year. And nobody else stayed on as consistently as Ohio State. And it's like feels like the first season in a long time that we don't have one of those. And it's basically just crap out of conference. The stuff that everybody else has every year. And now, of course, we're going to get the big knock on this. Of course, I don't think they got much of a knock by anybody outside of us last year for their schedule, which is absolute garbage. And this same article that went out and ripped our schedule, ranked our schedule 50th in the country, ranked Oregon's 12th. So Oregon has the 12th hardest schedule in the country. We look at their out of conference, Idaho, Boise State, and Oregon State. Now, I get that Boise State is a decent school, but they're going to be favored by 14. How about Oregon State? It's a rivalry. They're still going to be favored by 14. Honestly, to me, that's no different than any other cream puff, man. Get out of here with that nonsense. What they don't have is another big dog. They only play Michigan and Ohio State. They don't have another big dog. We play Oregon, Michigan, and Penn State. We got 3 big games. They've got 2. So their 2 decent schools that they're playing in the beginning of the year don't make up for that one big time game that is actually a threat to lose. Anyway, can't stand it. Let's not forget that the SEC still plays teams like UMass, Louisiana Southern, Louisiana Monroe, Mercer, South Alabama in late September or early November every year. LSU, Texas, those teams I just named are on their schedule like late in the season. And, they still only play 8 conference games. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of getting trashed for this schedule. I'm tired of getting trashed for being in the Big Ten. I'm tired of the Big Ten, but we got some news in the Big Ten. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how obnoxious it is to play in a conference where so many teams don't invest in football, don't try to be good, their fans don't care. And as an Ohio State fan base, as much as it's painful to admit, we're much more like the SEC fan bases, the top ones. And it's just the truth. If there is a Northern College football, we don't fit in with it. We fit in a little bit with Nebraska, with fan passion and fan support. Other than them, there's really nobody else like us in the North, But we've seen some historical doormats making some massive investments recently. So Northwestern, they already had started, a little while back and then finished their new facility. It's gorgeous, right on Lake Michigan. Ryan Field has now been torn down. They're building a new field. They got a new coach in David Braun. Nobody was expecting much out of him when he took over for after Fitzgerald and that whole thing happened. And they did really well last year. So Northwestern moving in the right direction. Now this week, big news, as Illinois signed Terrence Brooks out of the portal. Terrence Brooks, one-time Ohio State commit, long time ago, and then he went to Texas, and he became a starter at Texas. Last year, he was honorable mention, all Big 12. So he enters the portal, and he's down between Michigan and USC and Illinois. Illinois got him. That's pretty impressive. Illinois also just built a brand new facility. Then we look at Indiana. Indiana hires Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti's a rising star. Curt Cignetti is the guy that took James Madison from nothing to 12-2, and he was hired by Indiana. with the guarantee that they were going to commit money and support the program. He's the one that gave that wild introduction speech. Indiana has just spent $1 million on new equipment, and they are now making a football-only workout facility with Signetti and Tino Sinceri as the quarterback coach. They got an official visit scheduled from Julian Lewis. Julian Lewis is the number 2 ranked quarterback in the country, and he's taking one of his 4 officials to Indiana. Obviously, he's not going to sign with Indiana, but just to be able to get him to do that, that's saying something. That's something I've never heard at Indiana, and they're really turning around. And then we look at a school that's always had support, but is actually going to turn it around in results on the field, and that's Nebraska. Matt Rule just went and signed, first off, one of the most respected coaches in all college football. Absolutely perfect for Nebraska to have been able to get him. And I think that they couldn't have gotten anybody better for the situation that they're in. Matt Rule would be on a short list of candidates if the Ohio State job had came open. I mean, he'd be on my short list for any job. I think I have so much respect for the guy. I think he's awesome. He manages to get Dylan Raiola. He just followed that up with a commitment from another really good quarterback in 4-star TJ Lateef, 6'2", 208 from Orange County. And he chose the Cornhuskers over Ole Miss and a couple other big-time schools in the SEC. He is a top 15 to 20-ish quarterback in the country. And this is now 2 big-time quarterbacks in a row. That creates a lot of momentum for the rest of the class. He also snagged a big-time burner in the portal last year, or the portal just this last time. And we saw Dylan Raiola hitting one of their wide receivers in the spring game. They got some receivers now. They got a guy that can put the ball downfield. Things are going in the right direction at Nebraska. Things are definitely looking up at Indiana and Illinois and Northwestern. And you got to wonder, are they trying to turn it around because they see the writing on the wall that schools like Vanderbilt's in Indiana, when this thing eventually gets to where it's going, aren't going to be grandfathered in by the Big Ten and the SEC. It's going to be, okay, well, we're all part of this now. And you're not pulling your weight if your program isn't bringing in the money. And obviously losing programs aren't going to bring in the money. So are they saying to themselves, we need to invest now, or it's going to cost us a whole hell of a lot later when we get kicked out of the super conference? I don't know. I just think it's kind of strange. It could be a combination of that and the 4 new teams joining the Big Ten, and they want to make a commitment to football. But we're seeing some momentum from these historically crappy schools, and I think it's awesome. It's good for us. It's better for the conference. We get more competitive games, and maybe in a couple of years, these schools can get good enough to potentially knock off one of our rivals, which would be great. The Big Ten quarterbacks were ranked by Athlon magazine the other day. Man, I'm getting old. The Big Ten quarterbacks were ranked by Athlon online, and they ranked them as such. I'll give you the top 8. Dylan Gabriel, Drew Aller, Will Howard, Will Rogers is at Washington, Aiden Childs at Michigan State, Miller Moss at USC, Tyler Van Dyke at Wisconsin, and Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. So that's the top 8 quarterbacks. Now, there are 6 first-year transfers in that top 8. One is a true freshman in Raiola, and Miller Moss's first game as a Trojan was last year in their bowl game. So out of the top 8 quarterbacks on their list in the Big Ten, not a single one of them has started before for their school, which is pretty wild, man. Pretty wild. Dylan Gabriel, I'd put at number 1. I don't know how you could have any faith to put Drew Aller number 2. He's the only guy that's – did I just say not a single guy has started? Hello, wake up, pal. Aside from Drew Aller, not a single one of those guys has started at their school. But I don't know how you have any faith in Drew Aller after what we saw last year out of him. Like, I know he was a good recruit. I saw him play in high school. The dude's got all the tools. There's no doubt about it. But he certainly seemed to shrink in every moment he had the opportunity to step up in. So, how do you just say because he's a year older, we think he's going to turn it around? I'm not going to believe it till I see it. And I would actually put Will Rogers as number 2 behind Dylan Gabriel. Will Rogers had a season in Mississippi State where he threw for 38 touchdowns, 5 picks, 4,700 yards. That dude can sling it. And I definitely think that he deserves to be ahead of Drew Aller. Now, Will Howard, he might be able to edge Will Rogers out, but not Drew Aller. But anyway, that's the quarterback rankings. Love to hear what you guys think about it. Florida State, man, these guys. First, let me tell you about Kirby. So Kirby, we talk about recruiting chops, right? Guys with recruiting chops. Slate Alford and Colby Branch entered the transfer portal around the same time, and they're baseball players. They visited Georgia. Now, Georgia had hired a new baseball coach, but he was still with his previous school coaching in the College World Series. So the Georgia administration sent these 2 baseball players in to talk to Kirby Smart, who closed the deal on these 2 baseball players, and they signed with Georgia. That's chops, bro. That's scary. That's actually scary. ESPN is really not doing so hot lately. It came out that their subscription membership, their Plus service, has gone down a ton. And there is clearly one reason and one reason only for this, because they've told us so, and it's Florida State fans. Florida State fans have told us that they are the reason ESPN is tanking because of their now claimed successful boycott after Kirk Herbstreit and ESPN kept them out of the playoffs. Now, I thought they deserved to be in the playoffs. We've always gone by who deserves it. We've never gone by who the best team is, though we've always said who the best team is the way we go about it. We've never done that. If we did that, the 2015 Buckeyes would have been in there despite losing to Michigan State. And a couple other renditions of the Buckeyes would have been in there. And I could go on and on. We've never just said, I think this team's better. We've gone by the best resumes. That's how they've always done it. Even though they've said the best team, they've always gone by the best resume. Always. And they changed their mind last year. I didn't think it was right. And the reason it bothered me so much is because there was a stretch after 2006, 2007, when the Buckeyes were getting no respect nationally after we had gotten beaten by Florida and LSU in those national championship games. And if we'd have been in the situation that Florida State was just in last year, they'd have done that to us. They'd have been looking for a reason to keep us out because we got no respect nationally. So I didn't like it. I thought it was garbage. And I thought it was, all I want is consistency. And it was inconsistent. So the good news is when the argument gets between 12 and 13 or 14 and 15, I don't care anymore. You're too far down for it to matter to me. I don't really give a shit. But I didn't agree with it. Anyhow, Florida State went about it all the wrong way. Their fans just ruthlessly attack everybody on Twitter. They're taking credit for this, obviously, which is ridiculous. But the way the Florida State team went out there and embarrassed themselves against Georgia, who also had a bunch of players hit the portal and a bunch of players sitting out, and they went out and beat Florida State 63-3. I thought it was just embarrassing. And I just, if I was them, I so badly would have wanted to show that we were worth it, that we deserved it. And instead they laid down and pouted, and their whole fan base pouted with them. And it was a bad look. It was a horrific look. And then they went out and did this. They went out and got themselves unconquered 13-0 rings. Now, you want to go out and get yourself a ring because you had an undefeated season? I don't care. Power to you. You did great. They had a great regular season, but they were not 13-0. They were 13-1 because they chose to pout. So just don't put the record on the ring if you want to get them, and say undefeated regular season, but you weren't 13-0. That's embarrassing, man. That's even more embarrassing than never mind. It's embarrassing too, though. The other day we talked about Rick Hausman. Rick Hausman was the gentleman who played for the Buckeyes. He was a walk-on in 1967, and with Woody's blessing, in 1968, he joined the Army to fight for our country. Woody said that he would hold his spot on the team. He'd been there 71 days before he was wounded and eventually killed. He was protecting some soldiers as they were being evacuated. And we discussed his Silver Star and the Silver Bullet Award that was created by Private First Class Lance Corporal Mike Kelvington to honor Rick. And that's given to the top ROTC candidate every year at Ohio State. Well, last week, Hoffman was inducted into the military. Last week, we talked about Rick Hausman. Rick Hausman is the Buckeye in 1967. He came in as a walk-on, and he ended up going to join the Army. Woody said he would hold his spot. He never made it home alive. And Lance Corporal Mike Kelvington created the Silver Bullet Award to honor him. Then he was entered into the Ohio Military Hall of Fame. Then last week, he was given a pair of gold pants by the Gold Pants Society. And Jim Lachey, the president of the Gold Pants Society, said, on behalf of the Gold Pants Club, we know Rick and his sacrifice made our country great, and it's something that we're all very proud of. They presented that to his family. And now there's more coming, as Rick is going to get a 1968 national championship game. And this segment is so much easier to do than the first one was. I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy that this guy is getting all this recognition. I think, I'm a big. I tried to join the military when I was younger, and I chickened out. To be honest, I really did. Rick Hausman. I did a little segment on Rick Hausman last week. Rick Hausman is the gentleman who came in 1967 as a walk-on and joined the Buckeye football team. And then he left to go to the Army and left his buddies behind. With Woody's blessing, and Woody said he would hold his spot for him. And Rick went to Vietnam. He was there for 71 days before he was gunned down and killed. And he was inducted into the Ohio Military Hall of Fame a couple weekends ago. And Lance Corporal Mike Kelvington made the award, the Hausman Award, the Silver Bullet Award, that I did my segment on. Well, last week, he got himself a pair of gold pants, as the Gold Pants Society awarded a pair of gold pants to Rick Hausman's family. And now we found out that he is going to get himself a 1968 national championship ring. And these segments just keep getting easier. The first one was very rough, but this is all good stuff. And I'm so happy that Rick Hausman is getting his just due at the university, getting his ring, getting his gold pants. Really cool stuff, man. Really cool story. So shout out to Jim Lachey and the Gold Pants Society, along with Lieutenant Colonel Kelvington. Kudos on you guys. And that'll do me for today, guys. The next time you see me, I'll be back home in Ohio. Can't wait. I missed my setup. I missed my microphone. As you know, behind me, that's fake. That's a fake setup. But it is real when I'm at home. It's not real here. So talk to you guys then. Chuck and Bucks out. It was exciting in the end, but before today, me and Ohio State had an on and off. It was exciting in the end, but before today, me and Ohio State had an on and off again It was exciting in the end, but before today, Ohio State and I had an on and off. It was exciting in the end, but before today, me and Ohio State had an on and off relationship, he told Letterman